Hi everyone, I'm Rick Beato. In today's Everything Music, we're going to talk about augmented sixth chords and the Neapolitan sixth chord. In music theory, the augmented sixth chord contains the interval of an augmented sixth, usually above the bass tone. This chord has its origins in the Renaissance, was further developed in the Baroque era, and became a distinctive part of classical and Romantic era composers' harmonic vocabulary. The more common types of augmented sixth chords are usually called Italian sixth, French sixth, and German sixth. A Neapolitan chord is a major chord built on the lowered second supertonic scale degree. This would be, in the key of C minor, would be a D flat major chord. It's also sometimes called a Phrygian second or a Phrygian 2 chord because of the half step relationship between the tonic C and the D flat major chord. And it is almost always found in first inversion, which is why it's called a Neapolitan sixth chord. The sixth meaning first inversion. The first thing you have to understand is what an augmented sixth interval is. Okay, in red here, so I took this note A flat and I put an F sharp above it. Now if this note were a G flat, it would be a minor seventh, but since it's an F sharp, we count 6 letter names. So A, B, C, D, E, F. That's 6 letter names. So this interval from here is an augmented sixth between the outer voices here. A6, that's augmented sixth. You'll notice in all 3 of these examples, I did put the augmented sixth note in red. Now, these are used as predominant chords built on the 4th scale degree. Okay, so let's say we're doing all these in the key of C or C minor. Well, the 4th scale degree would be F, and it would be an F minor. Okay, so it's a minor 4 scale. That's why I have the built on the 4 minor chord. Except it does a tricky thing, and it makes it a sharp 4. This is where people get confused, but I'll show you the easy trick for it. If you look down here, the first one we're going to do is the Italian sixth. The Italian sixth is the only one that has only 3 notes to it. The French and German sixths are 4-note chords. The augmented sixth chords are virtually always in first inversion, meaning with the 3rd in the bass. Okay, so in the key of C, this augmented sixth would have A flat, C, and F sharp. Well, F sharp is your augmented sixth. The A flat, the way to figure it out is go up to your flat 6 in the key of C, which is the note A flat, then it has the root in C, and then it has the sharp 4. That's the easy shortcut to remember. Whatever key you're in, it has the root of the key. So if you're in the key of C or C minor, it has a C in it, okay? Then it has the sharp 4, which would be F sharp, and it has the flat 6, which would be A flat, okay? So, very simply, the way that these things you have to understand about the voice leading of them is, in this, the augmented sixth interval, so this is a predominant chord. So it's going from an Italian's augmented sixth chord to a 5 chord, which would be G major. This is a G major chord. The outer voices here move that way, and this moves this way, okay? They move to the root. F sharp goes to G, A flat goes to G, okay? They go in contrary motion. So we have a doubled C here. That's the only thing, is that middle note is doubled. That's the one feature of the Italian sixth, that it's only a 3-note chord. Remember, the Italians like economy. That might be a good way to remember it. That is the formula for it. So if you're thinking, what is the Italian augmented sixth chord in the key of C? Well, you go up to the flat 6 of the key, which is A flat. That's the flat 6 from C. And you go the flat 6, the root, and the sharp 4. The sharp 4 is actually what it's built on. It's really an F sharp chord. F sharp, A flat, C. Okay? If you were to, normally it's built on a 4 minor chord, which would be F, A flat, C, but you raise that. This is where it gets really confusing. Okay? So what you want to do is just remember that all 3 of your 6 chords contain the tonic in them. That's one of the notes. Okay? They all contain the flat 6th of the key, the A flat, and they all contain the sharp 4 in the key, which is F sharp. So all 3 of these augmented sixth chords, the Italian, French, and German, all have the notes A flat and C and F sharp in them. The only difference is the French and German have an extra note that is different between the 2 chords. I'll explain that in a second, okay? Now these all function as predominant chords, meaning they come before dominant chords. The German sixth chord usually resolves to a 1-6-4, which is a second inversion major triad, and then it goes to the dominant chord, to the 5 chord. A 6-4, that just means that a triad is in second inversion. If it just had a 6 next to it, I'm going to talk about this when I talk about Roman numeral analysis. We're kind of getting out of order, but you should just recognize these symbols. 1-6-4 is a first inversion triad, okay? First inversion major in this case. Okay, so on your French sixth, it has an extra note, which is the second. So in the key of C, that would be the note D, okay? So you've got A flat, C, D, F sharp. Here's my D. The outer voices, once again, just resolve up. So I'm resolving to a G major chord. The D is a common tone that stays the same. You want to have your voices move in as short a distances as possible and retain common tones when you can. And the C moves down to a B. Okay, that moves down to the B. So this is a G major chord, G, B, D, G. Okay? Now the German sixth chord is a little bit different. It's got A, C, E flat, and F sharp. So it's got the flat third. Now I also have the sharp 2 there. It could be a D sharp. Okay? Because visually a D sharp, because of the way that the resolution works, we've got E flat to E natural. Many times you'll see it in classical pieces where it's spelled as a D sharp, because the D sharp leads up to E, because it's really a leading tone up to that E. I'm going to change it even, so it looks a little bit clearer here. I'm going to make it a D sharp, okay? So, your leading tones moves up to the 1-6-4 to the G, okay? The A flat moves down to G. The C stays the same because we're going to a C major chord here, right, in second inversion. And the D sharp moves up to the third, which is E. And then this resolves down, those two notes, the E resolves down to D, and the C resolves down to B. This isn't the best spacing for the chords. I'm going to show you better examples with better spacing of the chords. I did it with this close spacing so you'd be able to really understand it. This moves down from E to D, which is a whole step. The C moves down a half step to the B, which is the leading tone in the key of C. German sixth chord has a flat 6 above the root, the tonic, the root of the tonic, or C, right? So you get A flat, C, E flat, which is a flat third, and F sharp, which is sharp 4. This is a shortcut, French, flat 6, root, second, and fourth of the key you're in. And Italian is the flat 6, root, and sharp 4 of the key you're in. That is the way you remember these really easily. So, predominant chords, that means they usually come before a dominant chord. They pretty much always come before a dominant chord, and they're always in first inversion. But you don't even really need to remember that they're a first inversion, because this is where it gets confusing. They're built on a 4 minor chord where the root is raised a half step. Okay, so it's, okay, a 4 minor chord in the key of C is F minor. And if you raise that F to F sharp, then you get F sharp, A flat, C. This is where it gets confusing. This system is actually much easier to remember, and this will enable you to get through your classes faster and recognize these when you see them. Now I'm going to play these for you and give you another example of each. I'll give you a better voice leading example of each of these. The 3-note Italian sixth chord, once again in the key of C, would be A flat, C, F sharp. A flat and F sharp create the augmented sixth interval. And then typically you would hear it resolve like that to the 5 chord. I'm going to G major there, so. Many times you'd have, for example, the C would be doubled. So the quickest way to find out, like I just explained, is to take, if you're in the key of C, go up to the flat 6, and you have the flat 6, you have the root, and the sharp 4, and that's what creates the Italian sixth chord, is those 3 notes. That's the real quick shortcut to find out whether you have an Italian sixth chord or not. The French sixth chord, in the key of C, for example, has the flat 6, the 1, the 2, and the sharp 4, okay? It's really like a dominant 7 flat 5 chord. Here would be an A flat dominant 7. This would be an A flat dominant 7 flat 5. So that is a French 6th chord. It has a real ambiguous sound to it because it comes from the whole tone scale. And here's how it resolves to the dominant chord. The German 6th chord in the key of C has the flat 6, the 1, the flat 3, and the sharp 4. So in this case it would be A flat, C, E flat, F sharp. But that sounds like a dominant 7th chord, because it is. It's an A flat 7 chord. And that resolves in a similar way. But this one typically resolves to a 1, 6, 4. And then to the 5, and then back to the 1. So, once again, here's the German 6th. So we have A flat, C, E flat, F sharp, resolving to 1, 6, 4, which would be C major over G. So I've got G. So those notes. So the difference between the German and the French augmented 6th chord, they both have 4 notes, but there's 1 note difference. There's the French 6th chord, there's the German 6th chord. German 6th chord is a dominant chord. It just fools you because it has an augmented 6th here, but it's really a flat 7. And to the ear, it sounds like a dominant chord. Or the French resolves to the dominant. The German resolves to the 1, 6, 4. One thing I want to tell you is the notation of them. IT doesn't mean it means Italian. +6, plus means augmented. FR is French, +6, and GER is German, +6. That is the way that these are notated when you're doing Roman numeral analysis. Okay, here's a more complete example of an Italian augmented 6th chord in a chord progression. Once again, we've just got 4-part writing. We're in the key of C minor. It's got 3 flats. You guys should know that. So B flat, E flat, A flat. So we start out on an F minor chord in first inversion. It's a 4 minor, and it says 6. 6 means first inversion chord. So it's got the A flat in the bass. So we got A flat, C, F, F. So we have an octave. So I'm going to write F minor here. F minor in first inversion. So it's F minor over A flat, if you want to look at it like that. Our next chord is our Italian 6th chord. Look at the characteristic. You've got the A flat here. Remember, we've got A flat in the key signatures. So these are A flats. That's an A flat, that's an A flat. So A flat and F sharp gives you that augmented 6th interval there. Okay? That is your key, augmented 6, A6. The Italian 6 only has 3 notes in it. A flat, which we've got doubled here, C, and F sharp, okay? Remember, the C is the tonic of the key, then we have the sharp 4 in the key, and then we have the flat 6 in the key in the bass. Okay, that's how you figure that out really fast. So, the voice leading works like this. The outer voices move by half step. F sharp goes to G, A flat goes to G. And I'm going to a 1, 6, 4, meaning a second inversion C minor. Or if you want to look at it like this, C minor over G. That's another way to analyze it. So we've got G, we've got E flat here. Okay, so the C moves up to E flat. The A flat moves up to C. And then you have the 5th up there. Okay, so it's kind of... we've got some jumps in our voice leading here by a 3rd there and by a 3rd there, but we're okay. We've got no parallels there. And then we go from this 1, 6, 4 chord to a 5 chord, dominant chord. So we've got G, D, okay, it's a G major chord, then B, natural, and G on the top, so root. So root, 3rd, 5th, root. So we have a doubled root between the outer voices. That G remains a common tone. This moves down by step from E to D. This moves down by half step, which is great voice leading from the C to the B, and the G remains common. And then I'm throwing in a quick 5/7. The F is the 7th. So the 7th here of G7 resolves to the 3rd of C minor, which is E flat. The B natural goes down to G, which is the 5th. The D moves to C, and the G moves to C. So here's the first example. So we're in the key of C minor here, and we start with a 4/6 chord. And then here's the Italian 6. And then we go to the 1/6/4, minor 1/6/4, and then resolve to the dominant chord, and then to the 1 chord. It's really cool. The 4/6 chord to the Italian 6. I love that sound. And then to the 1/6/4, minor 1/6/4. It's really pleasing. Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is the French 6th chord. The French 6th chord comes from the whole tone scale. The sound of it to the ear, for this example, I'm using D major. To the ear, this French 6th chord in this case would sound like a B flat 7 flat 5 chord, because if you spell them, if you change this G sharp to A flat, you have the notes B flat, D, E, A flat, which is a B flat 7 flat 5, the E being the flat 5 here. So you get root 3rd flat 5 flat 7. But in practicality here, our formula to figure it out in the key of D, the French 6th, you take the flat 6th in the key of D, the root, the 2nd, and the sharp 4. So that gives you the notes B flat, D, E, and G sharp. Those are the notes that are going to make up your French 6th chord. So just remember that formula. B flat is the flat 6th in the key of D. So we've got B flat, we got G sharp. So that's our augmented 6th interval right there. And then we have D, E, right? D, E, B flat, G sharp, D, E. The G sharp expands and the A flat expands, boom. The G sharp goes up to the root and the B flat goes down to the root to the A of the A major chord. So this is B flat to A, G sharp to A. The D moves to C sharp, the E remains a common tone. And then we resolve to D major to the tonic chord. So this is the 5 chord, A major. The A goes up to D, the A here goes down to F sharp, the 3rd. Then the C sharp goes to A. That is a French 6th chord in the key of D, and this is what it sounds like. If we're in the key of D, we're going to go up to the flat 6th, okay? That's going to be our bass note, which would be B flat. Then I have G sharp, which is the augmented 6th interval. So I have it in the lower part of the chord. Then up top, I have D and E. But if I were to do this chord, if I were to play this chord on B flat in root position, it would be a B flat 7 flat 5 chord. There's B flat dominant 7, B flat 7 flat 5. But here I have, in this inversion, B flat, G sharp, D, E, and that resolves to the 5 chord A major in the key of D, and then to the 1 chord in the key of D, D major. So once again, here's your French augmented 6th chord, resolving to the dominant chord, resolving to the tonic chord. Cool sound. The German augmented 6th, in this case we're going to use the key of A minor, is built on the flat 6. Okay, so the notes of the chord, here's the formula: flat 6, 1, flat 3, could be sharp 2, sharp 4. So in the key of A minor, the flat 6 is the note F, the 1 is A, the flat 3 is C, and the sharp 4 is D sharp. Okay, that's how you figure out the formula for the German augmented 6th chord. Do that and you're safe. You already know what it is then. You know notes make up the chord. Okay, so here's our first chord. We've got F, C, D sharp, A. Okay, F, C, D sharp, A. So this is our German augmented 6th chord. Now this typically resolves to a 1/6/4, either in this case it's minor. It could be a major 1/6/4 also. So this is going to be an A minor. So this goes down to E. The augmented 6th intervals. Okay, so that's going to be from F to D sharp is the augmented 6th. So this moves down half step. This moves up half step. as we know. I'm putting them in different voices in each example so you'll kind of get used to that they can be in any of the voices. But this chord is simply A minor over E if you want to look at it. It's A minor with an E in the bass. So you got E, C, E, A. Okay, A remains common tone, D sharp moves up to E, C is a common tone, and the F moves down a half step to E. Then we move to a 5/7 chord. So this E drops down the octave to E. Then we have B, which is the fifth of an E7 chord. Then we have D natural here. Okay, I better put D natural because I had D sharp there. D natural is the seventh of an E7 chord. I have it written down here. And then the G sharp is the third. The third resolves up by half step to the root of the tonic. The flat 7 resolves down to the third, or the C, of the A minor chord. The B resolves down to the tonic of A minor, and the E resolves up to the tonic of A minor. And it sounds like this. We're going to build it off the flat 6, so we have F, C, D sharp. There's our augmented sixth interval between F and D sharp, or F and E flat, really. F and D sharp. So F, C, D sharp, A. Sounds like an F7 chord, because it is an F7 chord. But it's going to resolve like this to a 1-6-4, which means a second inversion A minor chord. And then we're going to go to a E7, and then resolve to A minor. Once again, here's your German 6th chord, resolving up to a 1-6-4 to your dominant 7, which is E7, and then back to A minor. The sharp 2 that I put in here is generally used in major keys. You'll sometimes, instead of having the flat third, you'll actually have a sharp 2 so that it has more natural voice leading to the major third of the 1-6-4 chord. The last type of 6th chord that I like to talk about that's not an augmented sixth, it's the Neapolitan Sixth. This is very commonly used in the Romantic era. You'll hear it in pieces like Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. It's really common chord substitution to use. Very simply put, it's a major chord in first inversion built on the flat 2 of the key that you're in. So if we're in C minor here, which is what we are, it's a D flat major chord because that's the flat 2 in first inversion. So it's a D flat with an F in the bass. So if we look at it, that's why it says 6 here. It has this flat 2 6. That 6 means it's a first inversion chord. So we've got F, F, A flat, D flat. That is a D flat major chord right there. You've got the F doubled, which is the third. Then you've got the fifth and the root. Okay? The D flat flows down to, typically Neapolitan Sixth chords resolve to 1-6-4s. That means second inversion 1 chords. Okay? This is a C minor over G. So you get G, E flat, G, C. Then the 1-6-4 is going to resolve to 5, which is very, very standard. The C resolves down to a B, which is the third of the G chord. The E flat resolves down to D, which is the fifth. The G hangs over here, and the G hangs over here. Now this G resolves down to C, the tonic. The D goes back up to the E flat, which is the minor third. G holds common tone, and the leading tone B goes up to C, the tonic there. So this is a Neapolitan sixth chord, and it sounds like this. The Neapolitan sixth chord in this example is in the key of C minor. So it's going to be built off D flat major with the flat 2, the half step above the root of the key. And it's in first inversion, so it's going to have an F bass note. So here's the first chord. So this is D flat major, if you think about it. Here's your D flat major, but I get F in the bass. I have F, F, A flat, D. And that resolves down like this to a minor 1-6-4, and then to G7, and then to C minor. So once again, very familiar sound. That's the Neapolitan Sixth chord. That's all for now. Please subscribe here to my Everything Music YouTube channel. And if you'd like to get a copy of the Beato book, write me at rickbeato1@gmail.com. That's all for now. I'm Rick Beato. We'll see you soon.